forgot to click the record button again. All right. You need to have your key activities, key resources, and key partnerships. So all this need to be in place in order for you to deliver the value to the customer segment. Lastly, after you've delivered the value, how do you capture that value? There must be some kind of access where you can create the value that you create into income to your company. That comes at the bottom part of the business model canvas, where we look at the revenue streams against the cost structure. So I will show one example of a very creative business model. This company, Dollar Shave Club, offers a $1 shaver as opposed to the very expensive other brands like Gillette. So this company over the years actually has been acquired by Unilever for $1 billion US. So let's have a look at what this company is all about.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an LiveWIRE lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
All right. So that's an example of a quite creative business model. It's quite disruptive. It's very much cost-driven, right? So let's look at how does a Dollar Shave Club business model canvas look like, right? So on the right-hand side, you can see that the customer segment for the Dollar Shave Club are men primarily, although I read somewhere that 20% of the customers are women. But anyhow, they are men 18 to 40 years old who often don't have time or don't enjoy shopping, right? So the value proposition that they offer are, there's no more paying for fancy brand names. So basically with Gillette, most of the cost actually goes to the marketing and branding. At least that's what Dollar Shave Club is offering. Next, because of the subscription model, there's no more forgetting to buy your blades. Sometimes, you know, when you want to have a shave and your blades like rusty or blunt, right? So by having it delivered to you every month and only for a very low price, there's no more forgetting to buy blades. Thirdly, they promise that the blades are high quality, while at the same time allow you to save money. The mic is a bit soft. Is the mic okay, guys? Can you hear me? It's the same mic as you.
Yes. Okay to me.
All right, maybe you try to increase the volume. Mine is all right. Next, you look at the customer relationship. Customer relationship for Dollar Shave Club is a membership plan. So that's how the relationship between them and their customers, and members can cancel anytime. So that's quite attractive. You're not locked in, right? Next, the customer channel, they use website, they use social media, they give e-gift card, and also they have a help center. If some of you are doing e-commerce business, customer support is very important, because unlike a physical store, you have to build and nurture that trust with people, right? If you look at brands like Fashion Ballet, for example, the exchange policy is very simple, right? That means that if the size doesn't fit, or if you want to change color and all that within certain time, and you haven't removed the tag, you can just exchange it. Next, we look at the key activities. So for Dollar Shave Club, the main activities is production. They have to produce the shavers. They have warehouse and fulfillment. They deliver the product, logistics, social media, and e-commerce. Next, the key resources. They have their website, which have to be online all the time because otherwise you have unhappy customers who might go for another alternative. Product designers, customer service, and warehouse. Yes, Sarah, you're right. Next, the key partnership, they use YouTube as the viral channel. That means that as partners, they really have to understand how YouTube works, the algorithm and all that. The other partners are manufacturers. Maybe they manufacture in US, or maybe they manufacture in China. I am not sure of that. The other partners are also logistic partners, because if you tell your customer that you promise they'll get the product within 4 days or within the next day or within 2 weeks, you need to have a very reliable business logistic partner. Next, the payment gateway is another partner that they need in place, because they wouldn't want to build it in-house. Having payment gateway companies allow these companies to focus on what they're good at, economy of scope, and at the same time economy of scale, while Dollar Shave Club can focus on offering value to customer. Lastly, we look at the bottom part, which is the delivering value. How they generate revenue is they offer a $1 1-month trial for customers. After that, they get an offer of 3, 6, and 9. So it's not really $1 per se, but it's $1 to start, right? Then they sell other accessories related to their product, like maybe shaving cream or pre-shave oil and all that, right? Lastly, I'll try to talk louder, Dennis. I tend to try not to disappoint my students. Next, the cost structure. A lot of it, the main costs are shipping and distribution, advertising, warehousing, and product development. But this is just an introduction, right? Later on, we'll deep dive into each of the building blocks, and we'll see how you can apply the business model canvas to your business. All right. So as I said earlier, the key concept that I want you to grasp before we deep dive into business model canvas is we're going to look at how your business can create value, how your business will deliver that value from a channel, your customer relationships, your key activities, key resources, and key partners, and how do you capture that value by generating revenue through revenue streams, and as well as managing your cost structure. So this is the first activity. Just like yesterday, it's just an introduction of the activity. So the first activity that you all will start is just to sprint and put in your idea out there on a business model canvas. You can actually print a copy of this and then fill it up on an A4 sheet of paper or A3 sheet of paper.
Hi.
So that's the first activity, because the way the course work is it's iterative. That means that you will actually be evolving your business model canvas at least 4 times for this module. Okay, any questions so far, guys? Let me have a look at the chat before we proceed further. Any question, guys? Am I going too fast? It's another question. So far, so good. All right, excellent. So let's look at the first chapter of our module today, which is creating value. So in creating value, the question to ask is, how does your business create products, services, or platform that solve the problem or create benefit for your customers? So the first part is to always start with your customer segment, right? What is a customer segment? A customer segment is a set of customers that shares similar characteristics to those that you want to reach. So when looking at customer segment, you want to take the entire population and break them down into demographics, geography, and attitude and belief. You can, of course, segment them into further segmentation, but for the benefit of today's lesson, we've simplified it into 3 key areas. So the first segment is demographic, right? If you're selling, for example, fragrances, right? Who are the customer that you're looking at, right? You have a look at your customer, the gender of your customer, the income levels. If you're selling something 20 ringgit, probably it suits certain value customer. Whereas if you're selling something that 100 ringgit or even 1,000 ringgit, that you may be targeting customers of a certain income level. Next, you also be looking at education status, but often education status and education level, income level are almost related. Next, you look at family status. Are you selling to parents? Are you selling to single woman or single man, right? So those things are to consider. Geography, where are they located at? Is it in Cebu? Is it like across Malaysia, nationwide? Is it regional? Are your customers living in rural or urban areas? So this is how you slice and dice the geography part. Next is the attitude and belief. This is actually very important because a lot of time, our attitude and belief actually drives how we react with product and services and brands. So ask yourself, what does the customer like or dislike, right? What do they value? And do they have any loyalty to certain brands, right? And sometimes if you notice that they are loyal to a certain brand, although the brand is not related directly to the product or services that you're offering, that gives you an idea that maybe there's a segment that you can come in to offer this product. I'll give you an example. I have one client who are looking at the trend of all these very urban, trendy hijab ladies. So they see that they buy their fashion scarves, they buy their clothes and all that, but they buy the beauty products, but there's none that is offering toothpaste. So this person, who's quite popular actually, start to have an idea that maybe perhaps she can launch her own brand of toothpaste. She has very nice teeth to this customer segment. So when you're looking at the customer segment, once you divided your customer segment to demographic, geography, or attitude, then consider, is this market size big enough for it to still be attractive for you to enter your business in, right? And if it's not enough, sometimes it's not about changing your product. You can also change the geography. Maybe this is not the right place, or maybe I need to cast a wider net. I can't be just selling in Kuching or in Miri because the size is too small if I limited my distribution to these markets. And also in creating value, you have, after you've identified the customer segment, it's time to look at the value proposition. Value proposition describes the bundle of product and services that you will offer to create value to customer. People don't buy products, people buy what the product does to them, right? So a value proposition is the reason why customers choose one company, one product, one services over the other. So some examples of value that products are offering to customers are newness, right? It's something new, something different. Performance, right? This one actually does it half the time, or this one actually lasts twice longer than other products. Customization, meaning that rather than having a lock stock, like off-the-shelf product, you can actually tailor your clothes, for example, right? Fourth, this product gets the job done. For example, if someone is struggling for sleep, for example, having this natural remedy help them to get some sleep. So that gets the job done. People also look at value in terms of price. That means that this is like cheaper than the other offerings in the market. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is design. This is actually quite a leveler. I think if you are a new business and you want to compete against established competition, having good design actually allow you to quickly position yourself at a very strategic location in the customer's mind share. Next, brand and status. If you look at products like Louis Vuitton, MS, and all that, right? So there's a status attributed to the product and services. The same goes with Mercedes-Benz or BMW, right? On the other polar opposite is cost reduction. People who shop at Tesco or at Giant, for example, or Mydin, for example, they believe that going to these places will help them save money. Next is about risk reduction. This one can be in form of safety, security companies, or at the same time, allowing an expert to do something. For example, if you were to hire a plumber and this plumber is certified, then there's a risk reduction element to it compared to, say, going to somebody that do not have that certification. Next is accessibility. Some products may be geographically locked. That means that you can have access of the product if you are in certain countries, but you don't have that product in other countries. So for example, this is just an example. If Netflix were not available in Malaysia and you know that there is a demand for the product in the local market, then a company that offers the same streaming experience as Netflix or similar experience as Netflix will provide access to customer, right? So that can be of value for the customer. Lastly, it's convenience and usability. Convenience is, it's easy to use, right? It's just a click of a few clicks on your phone, for example. Meanwhile, usability look at, for example, for elderly customers, maybe if the buttons are bigger or it's something that is more tailored for their physical abilities, right? So then we arrive to the second activity for the business model canvas assignment module. Number one, identify who your customer segments are and what is the size of the segment. I hope in the coming weeks, I'll get more idea on what are the businesses that many of you are offering. If you are in F&B, for example, right? Who are the customer segment? It could be family, right? Middle income family, between 25 to 50, for example, right? So what is that size of population? If you look at in Kuching, for example, with a population of maybe 1 million, right? Next, what is the value that you are offering to this customer segment? Why would it matter to them, right? In business, right? Sometimes it can be quite harsh, I guess. So I mean, often I would advise my client to ask themselves, if you're offering something, ask yourself, so what? What is so special about it? So what, right? If you can answer that, great. If you can't answer that, then maybe it's time to think, how can you enhance the value proposition so that in the end, it actually matters to the customer? So the third activity steps of this exercise is to go back to your business model canvas that you've created in activity 1 and update it based on the understanding that you have developed on your customer segment and on the value proposition. Okay, I would like to take up some questions. Any question, guys? No question from Elevate. Anyone else have any question on customer segment or value proposition? Or maybe you want to check whether, whether we can get some feedback on existing product or services that you're offering. Okay. All right, let's proceed. So after we've created the value, because creating value is important. Without creating value, your business is at risk of becoming generic or at risk of not resonating to the customer. So after you've analyzed, assessed, have a think about who are your customer segment and what value you're offering, the next step is to deliver the value. So in terms of delivering the value, one way of looking at it is to look at the entire operations of your business that is needed to get the product or service or platform to your customer. So as mentioned, what are the systems and partnership does your business need in place to deliver the product, services, or platform to the customer? So first thing that we're going to look at is the channel. When looking at channel, it's not enough to just look at the channel in terms of marketing channel, right? Marketing, the channel is the way how the value proposition is delivered to customer through the entire end-to-end, meaning from the beginning to the end to the after-sales service even, right? So if you look here, the channel starts with awareness. How do people find out about your product, right? You need to cast a very wide net because normally the sales process looks like a funnel. That means that you may have 10,000 people that are aware of your product. From there, some of them will abandon and you'll be left with maybe 5,000 people who are evaluating. And from then, maybe you have 500 people who are purchasing, right? And then on, you deliver the product to the customer, and after sales, they may require service or they may advocate your product to others, right? Referrals and so on. Next, in the business model canvas, we look at the customer relationship. What kind of relationship, how do you establish your relationship with the customer and how do you maintain it? One key point to take away is maintaining customer is easier than getting new customers. So once you get your customer, try your best to keep them, right? Grow their basket size, for example. Get them to repeat purchase. So in terms of customer relationship, it also incurs cost to your business. So consider if you are a value-driven business, then that means that you may be able to invest more time in dealing with one customer. But if you're cost-driven business where you need to have a lot of volume, maybe there is less personalized service and more self-service or automated services from your customer. Another way of looking at it is also to develop community around your business or co-creation. If you look at, for example, the current trend of people going cycling, so there's a community around it. So if your brand are able to be part of that community, it gives you an advantage. For example, if you are building a cafe for cyclists, right? That way, by being genuine, by being authentic, you are able to retain your customer base through communities, right? Co-creation is allowing customers to customize or to be involved of the manufacturing or production process. Next, we look at the key activities. Remember this, guys. When looking at business model, you're not doing the granular detail aspect yet. We'll go through that as we go through the other modules in this course. But for the business model is the broad concept of how each building blocks or each key elements of your business have already been thought about and actually works well or works in sync with all of it, right? So in terms of key activities, what are the key things that you need to do, right? Some things are not so key. For example, if your business, like, paying your EPFs, and those are important, but they're not key aspect of your business. Key aspect of your business, for example, if you are business that are dealing a lot with customer service is a key activity. If you're a manufacturing business, that is a key activity. If you are running an online platform, right, then maintaining and making sure that the platform is always running, it's secure, is a key activity. So in key activities, let's have a look at a few of examples. Production can be a key activity if you're generating products or building or selling products, right? Problem solving may be a key activity if you are, say, a design company or you are a consultant, then problem solving is a key activity. If your business rely heavily on acquiring new customers all the time, then marketing can be a key activity. And fourthly, as I mentioned earlier, if it's you're running an app, for example, the platform management can be the key activity of your business. Then we look at the assets. Assets, in essence, key resources is anything that helps generate revenue and income for your company, right? If your staff, for example, or your team member help you generate income, they're key to it, then they are key resources. If your server or cloud server that you have help you to generate resources, then generate income, then it is a key resources. So it is something for you to deliberate what is critical to your business in terms of asset that you require if you were to start and launch your business. So key resources can be in form of physical, can be your shop lot or a warehouse, right? Key resources can also be intellectual. For example, you have done a lot of R&D, right? To develop the product that you have done, that you are way ahead of some of your competitors. Can be in a form of patent, can be in a form of intellectual property. As mentioned earlier, human capital can be a key resources. And for some businesses, financial is a key resources, meaning that the business model is generated such that the financial aspect is key to the success of the business. Lastly, this is the last element of delivering value is partnership. There is only so much that you can do in your company, right? More often than not, you will need to work with others to deliver your value proposition. In all companies, not even Apple, right? They work with, for example, Apple is a very good example. They don't manufacture their products, right? They work with suppliers like Foxconn in Taiwan to help them to create the product. So in all companies, there are things that needs to be outsourced, or if you are in the manufacturing part of your business, then you will also need raw materials and ingredients for you to manufacture the product. Give a simple example. If you are making noodles, for example, right? Then you probably need your suppliers to supply you with flour and yeast and all that, right? Okay, so key partnership allow you to optimize on the economy of scales of others. It helps you to reduce risk and uncertainty, because let's admit, right? Most of the time, it's best to leave some things to the expert. I give an example. If you are a company in telecommunication, for example, if you need to run an event, you probably would not build your booth yourself, right? You probably engage an events company, because that will reduce your risk and uncertainty, because they are experts and they have developed a booth and the likes and marketing materials and all that for many other customers, and they've proven themselves, right? And thirdly, as I mentioned about suppliers, it's also about acquisition of resources and activities, right? For example, maybe some companies that provide certain services, marketing is not their areas of expertise, so they might source out for agents to conduct and perform these activities. So this is the activity 3 for the business model canvas module. The questions that we have here are, what are the 3 to 5 indispensable key resources that you require for your business? What are the 3 to 5 key activities that you need to perform well? And then consider and list 3 to 5 key partners for your business. And then update your business model canvas. Can we take some questions, guys? Any questions from the participants? Do you need me to explain certain part, or maybe certain things are not clear? I can speak Bahasa as well. It's okay. So far, is creating and delivering value clear to all of you? All right, Elevate is asking, any advice on how to do premium pricing in the market in Kuching? Okay, guys, this is a very important question. The key thing to consider here is, you don't want to be a product searching for a market, right? You always start with your customer segment, meaning that look at the market first and ask yourself, is there a market for premium product in Kuching, right? Because if the market is not large enough to cover the cost of your business, it can be a product looking for a customer and the customer may not be there. But on the other hand, if there are a sizable enough market in Kuching for premium pricing, then it's about identifying who they are and really pinning down on what are the delivery channels, right? The channels that you need in order to reach those customers. So in a market where the market size is not big enough, basically you want to make sure that you are very precise with your marketing and targeting, right? So that's an advice that I can share with you, Elevate. Any other question, guys? Yes, Moses. If you have any third-party merchants or vendors, like the example that I shared earlier with Dollar Shave Club, they fall under key partnerships. Key partnerships basically means that if they're not there, you can't function as a business, right? So, for example, if you are B2B2C business, for example, say you need a third party, maybe a government agency or a larger company where you actually supply or work together with them, then you want to put them in under your key partnerships. It's a great question, Moses. So merchant and vendors are in e-commerce marketplace are in key partnership. For example, your key partnership can be Lazada, can be Shopee, so you can put it there. Any other question, guys? I had a lot of slides, so I'm sorry if I'm maybe a bit faster than yesterday in how I been talking today. No other question? All right, let me proceed. Okay, this is the last chapter. I think this is, the most interesting, I guess. If you're in business, obviously you want to make money, you want to be profitable, right? So in order to be profitable, you have to capture the value. That means the trade-off between your production, between your service, between the cost of your staff, your rental, your marketing, your R&D has to be less than the revenue that you're generating from your variable costs, right? From your revenue, I'm sorry. So how does a business generate revenue from a product, service, or platform, right? So this is the question that we're trying to answer in this chapter. So key thing to look here is to be creative about your revenue stream. Revenue stream has so much potential, and sometimes it is not optimized or is not taken advantage of, that we miss the opportunity to actually generate more revenue for our business, right? As I mentioned earlier, your income must always be higher than your costs. And in order to achieve this, you must know all your costs. One of the common mistakes that I've experienced with many new entrepreneurs is sometimes they don't capture all the costs. They don't capture the cost of sometimes delivery, the cost for them to do marketing and traveling. Sometimes it's missed out, right? For example, in the assumptions or in the projections that they build. So revenue stream, there are many ways that you can generate revenue. At the very basic way is just asset sale. You have a product, somebody buys that product, and you make money from it, right? Number two is usage, right? If people use your services, you can charge, say, by the hour or pay per use, right? Thirdly, you can also lock your customer by having a subscription model, right? Meaning that you inform your customer that this product is being sold in a subscription model where each month they have to pay a certain fees. Very simple example is telco, right? Our broadband, every month we pay certain amount of fees and we get a bundle package of data, calls, SMS and all that, right? Fourthly, it's rental and leasing. So you can also rent your product and services. One example is maybe you've heard of crowd sharing, right? Crowd sharing, is it? Where sometimes people have extra tools or extra equipment, so they list it out so people can rent the product for a certain period of time, right? Fifth, another revenue stream that you can explore is licensing. Licensing is it's similar to franchising, but a little bit simpler. Licensing is if you have a brand, for example, people can license your brand and run the shop or the business by paying you a certain licensing fee, right? There's also brokerage fees where you connect two businesses, similar like what Moses is saying just now about platforms, for example. So they charge a certain broker fee to link customers with products and products with customers. And lastly, another example of revenue stream is through advertising, right? For example, if you have followers, for example, right? You can maybe advertise people's products and services through your Instagram page and all that, and they pay you for advertising, right? To reach those eyeballs, those thousands of people that are following you. So we look at the cost structure, and when you look at all the elements, even the revenue stream, because sometimes even with the revenue streams, you have to install it in place, all of that combined together, then you have your entire cost structure. So all the elements of business model come together to become your cost structure. So cost structure, here's our 4 ways where you can look at your cost structure. One way is you're very much cost driven. That means that if you're running an F&B business, for example, you want to make sure that you have the supplier that can provide you the cheapest and acceptable quality of supplies, right? Meanwhile, if you are value driven, then cost is not so much issue, right? That means that you can source from high quality craftsmen, or you can source from high quality leather, for example. Then the customer is happy enough to transact or pay for those products and services despite of the high cost, right? And in terms of cost structure as well, you want to consider your fixed costs, right? More often than not, we would advise early stage businesses to keep your fixed costs low. That means that try not to have so high of a rental or rent only spaces that you need, right? Your other fixed costs are also the salary of your staff, right? Do you really need a tea lady, for example? Can you make your own tea, right? That's one, right? And variable costs involved in the cost that is required for you to sell your products. So only when there is a sale happening, then only then you will have your variable costs. So cost is very interesting, but we have an entire module to discuss about it in the coming weeks. But of course, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to accept them and try to respond as best as I can, all right? So this is the last activity for this module. Number 1, after considering the various revenue model that we have proposed, which one did you choose for your business, right? You may already have an existing revenue model. You may keep it because after testing it or considering other revenue model, you still discovered that your revenue model is the best. That's okay, right? But if, say, you want to pivot from asset sale to, say, asset plus maybe subscription, then that's okay as well. And then consider what are the major costs of your business, right? Maybe you list down 3 to 5 and answer them in the Google sheet, Google form that we will be sharing very soon, right? And then update your business model canvas. So with that, let's accept some Q&A, guys. Have you managed to download the slides, by the way? For some of you that maybe didn't catch it earlier, I'll post it again here. I'm sorry. I'll post it again here, right, on the chat. Any question, guys? Oh, training skills belong to which cost structure? This is from Dennis. Training skills, it depends, right? For example, in my business, I set aside like a certain percentage, like only a few thousand ringgit every month for training. So it comes under my fixed cost. So sometimes some businesses, they amortize it, and I think it will still go into fixed cost, I guess. Yeah. So when you look at variable cost, it comes in the product that you manufacture, for example, or produce. For example, if you are making noodles, right? So for each sales of noodle, you will need your noodles, maybe something that for you to create your broth and all that. Where else the bowl itself is actually part of the fixed cost that is amortized, maybe, right? But those are more capex, I guess. Huh? Okay, another question. Is marketing under fixed cost or variable cost? Sometimes people can put it under variable cost, but I think the easier part is to put it under fixed cost, to set it against, like a very common practice is to set marketing costs like 5% to the revenue that you plan to generate. So if you put it under variable cost, then it will make your marketing varied rather than that, which means that you are not in control of how, because the marketing sometimes it's not a precise science, right? So I think it's always safe to put it under fixed cost. But on the same question as well, Moses, it's a bit technical, but customer acquisition cost comes under variable cost. So for some businesses, yes, I know, they don't spend marketing per se, but they put it under customer acquisition cost. So that, for example, for every customer, they've already calculated that it's 50 cents in the cost as marketing. So in that case, it becomes a variable cost. Very good question. Okay, is there any recommended cost in comparison to revenue on profit? Crystal, very excellent question. Actually, it depends on industry to industry. Some industry where it is very saturated, that means that your margins are lower, right? But if your business is very novel, for example, or for example, it doesn't rely on physical assets so much, like digital business, then your revenue can be very high. So there's no one way of looking at it. But in terms of investors, often people would like to see revenue, a margin of say 20% or 15%, at least, right? That means that if for people to invest in a business, it is still profitable for them to get their return, which is higher than say if they were to just leave it for fixed deposit, or for the Bumiputera out there, maybe ASB, right? They get 5%, 7%. So your business should be higher than that, I guess, right? Anything north of that would be excellent. So the idea of a business is to look at whether it, like as I said earlier, whether it's cost driven or value driven. If it's value driven, then your margin is higher. If it's cost driven, that means that you need higher volume to cover for the margin. Yeah. Is there any indicator of marketing percentage allocation for startup? Good question, Amalina. Usually for a company starting, you may need to invest a bit more on marketing. So if you say you're launching your product, you can spend as high as 20% on marketing, because you need a very high awareness to convert people into customer or users, right? After that, once the market stabilize a bit, then the marketing will recede accordingly, and maybe to 5% or even lesser, right? So when you're launching a product, the idea is, how many people do I need to reach? How many of the people that I need to reach actually converts into my customer? So later, when we look at the marketing module, we'll discuss in more detail how do you plan your marketing so that you reach the number of customers that actually can cover the cost of your business. Yeah. This will come in when you look at your break-even point, for example, right? So the idea is you need to market enough. So it's not an exact science, because maybe you've invested cost-wise, but the messaging that did not resonate. Or in other cases, you may not spend a lot, but your marketing really resonated or really speak to the customer that you're targeting. A lot of questions on marketing, huh? But look at the business model, right? The business model actually, once you have your business model in place, it will make sense. That means that after that, you can actually think less about it, although you should continue thinking about it, but it actually makes sense that it's such that it creates a business based on the model that you've created, right? Business model is a high-level overview of what your business is. So it's very important to get it right. Yesterday, with design thinking, we generated the idea. So the idea here is to move from idea to business model. Because an idea, people can have idea every day, right? But once you have a model that works, then you start to have a revenue generating engine, like a company that is an engine for money, yeah, to put it directly, I guess. Right? So a lot of businesses actually fail because the business model doesn't work. Right? For example, there's just not enough customer, or the value proposition is just not attractive enough. Or for example, the cost is too high compared to competitors. Because remember these guys, when you're running a business, it's very likely you're not the only one in the market. Right? People have options, people have alternatives, people have substitutes. So the key thing here is to have a business model that works like a playbook, right? That helps you win. Okay. I hope I answered your question, Amalina. Crystal, did I answer your question? Try to aim north of 15 to 20% minimum when it comes to the revenue that you are generating. Okay, good question, Dennis. An example of value-driven business. One example is Starbucks, right? Not the most high value-driven, but they do not have to compete on low price. That means that your regular kopitiam or coffee shop, right? They can sell the coffee for RM2.50 or thereabout. Where else Starbucks can actually offer higher value, right? So they don't rely so much on cost, but on the story that the customer goes there, they know that it's fair trade, they will get nice service, nice music. So this is where value-driven comes in, right? So that's one example of value-driven. In many cases, give an example, right? A lot of local businesses like to compete on cost base. And it can work sometimes, but at the same time, many small businesses do not have the bargaining power to negotiate with suppliers and all that. So competing on cost per se may be actually detrimental to them, right? Okay, Nahum Yao is asking, yesterday you mentioned that we had to pick top 3 ideas from the 5. It's not top 3, Nahum. It's actually pick 1 from 5. So you only have to build a business model canvas from 1 idea, But from then on, I will encourage you to develop at least 4 business models just to test, right? So when you build your business model, I recommend that you actually spend time with your team members or your friends or people who are supportive that you venture into business, and or even to take it to the customer and asking them, you know, would this value proposition be attractive to you, right? You don't have to tell your customer about your cost structure. Later on, when you launch a business, then they know, hey, you only pay this much, right? But at the very least, you can test your value proposition. Is this something that you want to pay for, right? How much would you want to pay for? Is this revenue model? Whether you like to pay for it directly or whether you would like to have a subscription model, you can actually interact your business model with your customer. I want to share this one thing because we still have time. Allow me to go back. Huh? No worries. I'm here to answer questions. If you look at the business model canvas, on the right-hand side, from value proposition, you cut it in the middle. On the right-hand side are all the things that your customer can see. This is something that we call the front of house, right? And then on the left-hand side, you cut it from value proposition, the cost structure, the key resources, key activities, and key partnerships are things that customers can't see. I think because we have time, I want to add one more point for Crystal. Just now she asked me, how do you price? How do you price, right? Although it's meant for another module, I think it's not nice to keep people hanging, right? So when it comes to pricing, there's 3 ways where you can price. The first way where you price your product, right? And then you work backwards to make sure that you have the best margin that you can. Number 1 is to calculate all your costs, and from there you mark up maybe 10% or 15% or 20%, right? That's the very basic cost driven, I guess, right? And number 2 is to look at what your competitors are pricing and whether you can price a little bit higher, the same, or slightly lesser than them. So that's a third way of looking at the margin and pricing dynamics, right? And thirdly is, if you have a nice brand, if your product is well designed, if it's desirable, you've made it premium enough, then basically you can price it anyhow you want, right? In my classes, I like to use Nilofa as an example, right? I do not know whether she's still popular, but basically Nilofa doesn't need to price herself like other celebrities, or she doesn't calculate like how much her makeup costs and all that. She can actually dictate the price because she is in demand. So if you are venturing into a business where it is value driven, then it's as much value that your customer believe that they can get when they pay you whatever price that you have stated, right? I hope that answers both Dennis and Crystal's questions. Any other question, guys, on the exercise or on the business model canvas? Actually, there are many Elevate. I can't think of one at the. I can think of one. I can think of many actually. For example, we've had business models which connect people from rural places to urban places, right? That means that the business model has actually 2 prongs. It has customers where people in rural markets, they do not have access to customers from urban market. And the urban customers, meanwhile, do not have access to rural customers. So what they do is they created an app, for example, that serves as a marketplace, and they build a distribution channel around it, which helps connect the product with the customers. Other business models that are quite attractive that I've had in the past. I've had clients who actually, it was a pitch. I was running a program for one of the royalties in Malaysia, where this lady came to me and said that even Nestle can't compete with me. I'm like, wow, this is quite a confident lady. And what she did was actually she created ice cream which had like chunk of fruits inside the ice cream. She says that the big brands can't do that because their machines are designed a different way. Not that she is arrogant. Actually, that product has done quite well, and she's actually exported her product to Walmart in China. So I thought that's quite creative. I think she had some interesting story behind it as well, because some people with health issues, for example, cannot eat conventional ice cream. So that's why she has created this ice cream. She branded it quite well. For your benefit, you can actually Google Pops Malaya and to see her product. Thanks, Alavi. But the key thing here is to actually always, just like design thinking, always go back to your customer. If you please your customer, you will have your business. If your customers are not pleased with you, there is no business idea, there is no business model, right? So this applies as well. I know some of you are doing B2B businesses. So when you look at B2B businesses, don't look at it as just a company or I'm serving this corporation. Look at the people in the corporation. Look at who you are dealing with, which department, right? Which departments, plural, are you dealing with, and see how does your product fits in their needs, pain, gains, and jobs that they need to get done, right? All right, guys. With that said, I can still take questions, but for some of you, please help me fill up the survey again. We'll be doing this from time to time, but there are only 4 questions there. Please help me to fill this up. I mean, just type it out for some of you as well. Any other question, guys?
Encik Azuar.
Yes, who is that speaking?
Dennis.
Hi, Dennis.
Yeah, I want to ask you through the voice because it's difficult to type.
No worries.
Now, from yesterday's session, we're talking about business idea.
Yeah.
So now let's say the business idea is an online skill development training. Is that considered a business idea?
Yes, it is.
Online skill development training.
I think what you want to do is, it's not so much the product per se. Remember yesterday we want to talk about rather than functional benefits, because online is a function, right? So the key here is what is unique about your online training website, right? For example, or app, right? Which customer you are serving? Are they primary school students? Are they adults, right? For example, and what are the pain points and needs of these adults that is being resolved or being solved by the product they're offering? So that's an idea. So if it's just the statement there, it's not quite an idea yet. An idea normally have a customer that you are targeting and the need that you are elevating. So the key to come up with that statement, I am creating online training services, training website for oil and gas workers on the platform, right? So that they make less mistakes or they feel that they are guided when they are doing the work. For example, that's a statement, that's an idea. So an idea is not so much, I want to build a shop, right? I want to start a nasi lemak shop. A nasi lemak shop that does to whom and what do they gain from that?
Right? Okay, clear.
All right. For some of you who likes to chat as well, we can you can post question by voice as well. Okay. All right. If there's no further questions, don't leave yet. We're going to take another selfie, another Wi-Fi. Please. Oh, there's somebody in the car. Who's that? But I hope the business model has been very clear. I know that for some of you, you've probably gone through the business model canvas workshop many times. So I understand when it's a bit quieter than yesterday, but hopefully we'll have more engaging discussions in the coming weeks. Guys, can you help me switch on your cameras so that we can take a nice selfie Wi-Fi for Shell? Okay, while we are at it, right, because since time is up, I also want to share that for this year's LiveWIRE, the minimum requirement to be judged, not to be judged, to be assessed in the panel is to attend at least 8 sessions of these webinars. So that's why if you notice in the group, we are still admitting some people yesterday, right? But I think after the, maybe after the, moving forward next week, we will not be accepting anymore, right? So yeah. Just to be fair for all of you that have joined earlier, all right? Okay, make sure you're not closing your eyes. Huh? Yesterday, somebody complained that they closed their eyes. My mouse cursor tends to go missing sometimes. All right, thank you so much, guys. I hope it had been fun. Please help me to complete the survey, yeah? Thank you. Have a nice day. Have to pass the Wi-Fi trying to put kids to sleep. Oh, no longer accept. Okay, hold on. Never mind. Give me a moment to accept to post the accepting response, right? And then I'll put it on the group. Thank you, guys. Sorry about that, Dennis. Thank you. Thanks for